All right, hey everyone, here for I think it's day 13 of One Daily Thought. And today, what we're going to be talking about is signaling in the age of social media. So, if you haven't seen the last two episodes, we encourage you to stop and watch those first. The first one was talking about signaling in the animal kingdom, and then the second one was talking about signaling in humans and virtue signaling and how we can uh, talk through ideas and use that as a way that we can convey what we believe and the virtuous signals, presumably about ourselves, to other people. So, um, with that, there are a couple concepts just to highlight. There's honest signaling and dishonest signaling, which could basically equate to bluffing. So, an honest signal is professing something you do truly believe, but then a dishonest signal would be basically saying that in order to gain social acceptance, but without actually having the underlying sort of beliefs or actions behind it. And a way that signaling can be differentiated often is by cost. So if a signal is costly to do, it is much more likely to be an honest signal. You think of the example as buying a really expensive car as a signal of wealth. And because the car is really expensive, it has a high cost, that's a very hard signal to bluff. You don't see too many homeless people going around and driving Maseratis because they can't. They could. It might be helpful because then they could bluff their wealth, but it's generally not the case. So, so cost differentiates that. And what we're going to talk about today again is signaling in the age of social and sort of spoken value-based signals of like, I believe we should protect the environment, or I believe we need to ensure human rights for everyone, or fill in the blank. Don't really have an inherent cost. If you're looking at a purely social interaction, you're looking at just words that you say or things you allude to, and we've even come up with shorthand ways to sort of signal our values in a group. And now we want to look at that in the world of social media. So the challenge with those signals not having much cost is that it's very hard, if not impossible, to differentiate between honest signals and dishonest signals. And with social media, the cost is actually even further reduced. Instead of actually saying something, in most cases, I guess here I'm actually saying something, but in almost all cases with social media, you can just click a like or a share button. And you may do that to this video. In fact, it'd be great if you did. But the problem is that signal is about as low cost as you can get. And that means that it's going to be the world of those signals around ideas is going to be very hard, if not impossible, to differentiate honest signals from dishonest signals. And I think this is kind of largely what you're seeing in social media. And because it is so hard to differentiate between honest signal and a dishonest signal, it then becomes very easy to believe that the other side, and this relates to kind of tribalism and a whole other set of ideas, but because it's so hard to differentiate between an honest signal and a dishonest signal, it's very easy for you to believe that your side, your tribe, is doing honest signaling, and the other side, the other tribe, is doing dishonest signaling. And I think that's actually the underlying mechanic, or a large part of why we are becoming more divided in our politics and on social media, why the discussion is so toxic, is that it's become a lot easier for you to believe good things about your side and bad things about the other side. And then, inevitably, when you actually meet people in reality, ideally you'll see that that's, actually not the case, that by and large, 90+% of people are good people and want what's best, but just obviously have different beliefs about how to get there. In some cases, they may be misinformed on various topics, but, are trying for the best. So, that's signaling in social media. And I think it's pretty clear, given that, anecdote, that this is a real problem and a real challenge. And I think the question then becomes, like, what do we do about it? And unfortunately, I don't have a great answer. I think at a personal level, I always like to look at the effects kind of split out by both personal aspects steps you can take, but then also from a systematic perspective, what actions could be taken, recognizing that no one person of us can actually do any of the systematic things. So at a personal level with signaling, there's obviously the option to kind of opt out of the game or system, opt out of social media, get off of it. or obviously similar to that, be a bit more mindful about thinking about things when you're on it. And I would absolutely recommend that. I think it's very helpful, but it's also really hard to do. Social media is addicting, tribalism is addicting, and it just appeals to inherent aspects of human nature that can end up leading to bad places in this case. So from a systematic perspective, I think the question's unfortunately a bit harder. There would probably be two classes of solution within that. One is technological solutions, and then the other are basically like cultural or societal solutions that basically put values we could embed in society or help to facilitate that would then lead to better interactions around social media. So an example of this would be if we could somehow figure out a way, and obviously we haven't, of getting everyone to believe that it is really virtuous to see both sides of an issue. And obviously that's something we can take at the personal level and see as a virtue for ourselves, but that's going to be something that's really hard to figure out how to embed that at a cultural level. And obviously would probably take some technological aspect to be able to do that, but could also be done on a purely organic cultural level. So I think exploring those will probably have to be a story for another time. I don't have any great ideas at the moment about what those could be. But if you do, I'd love to hear them, and definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. So that's all for today, and thank you for your time.